Can't count Stannis out in the fight to becoming king of the Seven Kingdoms yet. Few in the actual story believe in his cause, but his fanbase amongst us nerds is pretty damn vocal. Whether they're memeing or not, doesn't matter. Readers love Stannis. The characters still alive by the end of the last book that are still in the running are Tommen, who currently holds the crown, and Daenerys, Aegon Targaryen VI, Euron Greyjoy, and then Stannis of course. Tommen inherited his Kingsguard members from his older brother Joffrey and their false father Robert. Daenerys and Aegon are both in the beginning stages of filling out their 7 slots, and who knows what the unpredictable Euron plans to do when it comes to his personal guard. The Ironborn always do their own thing, but Stannis has never mentioned what he plans to do either. Little brother Renly on the other hand had every slot filled before he even touched the battlefield. He was more into the theatrics of playing kings and knights. Stannis is taking this war more seriously. He gets no joy from having a crown or taking other people's lives on the path of doing so. He's a simple man who does things because that's just the way things are supposed to be. The Iron Throne was his by right, so fake Baratheon Tommen has to go, and justice needs to be served. When it comes to keeping him safe from a potential assassination attempt, that really isn't the biggest concern because he's rarely in a position to give that opportunity. Stannis is also lacking some big names swearing fealty to him. I'm sure he would have loved Barristan running over to his side, something Renly also hoped for, but he's with Daenerys, serving as her Lord Commander for Queensguard. If Stannis is too preoccupied with more pressing matters like surviving the blizzard in the north and the Boltons hunting him down, it's up to us nerds to speculate and have some fun with a list of suitable and realistic Kingsguard that would swear that really annoying vow, dedicating the rest of their lives to being a glorified bodyguard. In the books, there's 2 factions of followers under Stannis' banner. The Kingsmen, who are unquestionably loyal to Stannis, and the Queensmen, who are a little harder to trust and seem more loyal to his wife, Selyse Florent, since she's more devout to the Lord of Light. The Kingsmen have never converted, still keeping the faith of the 7. Within the faction of Kingsmen, some of the best of them left to keep Stannis' nephew safe from Melisandre, Robert's bastard, Edric Storm. He was shipped away with a small capable group to guard over him in Essos while the war wages on. This part of the story goes down a little differently in Game of Thrones, with Gendry sailing off to nowhere on his own. Now Stannis is surrounded with only Queensmen in the north. The Kingsmen who didn't sail away are back in Dragonstone, keeping it out of Lannister hands. If Stannis now distrusts the ones hiding his nephew, I think his best choice for a Lord Commander would be Roland Storm, another bastard like Gendry and Edric from the Stormlands. He's Castellan of Dragonstone, which means he's in charge, while Stannis is on his war campaign, a very serious position in times of turmoil. Roland's half-brother was the ruling lord of House Cairn, the Stormlands, and together with his brother, they first fought for Renly before he was taken out by Stannis and Melisandre's shadow baby. Almost all the Stormlanders followed the more charismatic Renly over Stannis in the War of the Five Kings, so Stannis had to forgive them when they came over to his side after Renly was gone. You can't just turn them all away when you have so little support. Roland Storm is charged with mining obsidian to fight back against the White Walkers when Stannis is made aware of its use. His work is interrupted when the Lannisters and Tyrells try and take this castle away from Stannis while it's lightly garrisoned. Loras Tyrell leads an army that successfully storms the castle after Roland refused him of a single combat fight to prevent bloodshed. Loras' victory came at a high cost. There's still a lot of questions surrounding what exactly went down during the storming because we had no POV character around. We don't even know of Roland's well-being, but with his reputation of being a very skilled killer who earned Stannis' trust quick enough to become a Castellan, he's easily a contender for a member of the Kingsguard, even Lord Commander. That's if he's still alive. Roland's the only one I can think of amongst the Kingsmen. I gotta head over to the Queensmen now. So another option could be Sir Godry Faring. Yeah, that asshole jerk-off that everyone claims killed a giant while helping out with the Night's Watch. He goes by Godry the Giant Slayer now. Though everything he says makes you hate him, he is described as the perfect bodyguard in terms of physique. Tall, muscular, and fierce. He didn't kill the giant in a one-on-one fight or anything, like he wants you to believe. The giant was retreating and Godry attacked from the back to bring it down. Still a worthy candidate. His cousin, Gilbert Faring, another knight from their house in the Crownlands, is serving as Castellan of Storm's End, Renly's old home and the Baratheon's castle. Assuming he also has the Faring genes, he's got Stannis' trust going for him, so maybe not as dependable as Godry, but for now I would definitely put him in the top 7. Even as a noble, his safety may not be guaranteed with the Lannisters and Aegon VI seeking out this castle. We'll see if he survives. Two of the bigger names under Stannis' banner are Sir Justin Macy and Sir Richard Horpe. They're always lumped in together as a duo when either one is brought up in the story. They even got nicknames given to them by Stannis, so you know things will be happening with them. Justin's called the Smiler, and Richard the Slayer. House Massey, a family in the Crownlands, and Horpe in the Stormlands. Both are a shoo-in for the position of Kingsguard, however it's unlikely they'll take it. These two are aiming higher. In A Dance of Dragons, the latest book, during a conversation between Jon Snow and Stannis on the wall, Stannis says, "Horpe and Macy aspire to your father's seat. Macy wants the Wildling Princess too. He once served my brother Robert as squire and acquired his appetite for female flesh. Horpe will take Val to wife if I command it, but it's battle he lusts for. As a squire, he dreamed of a white cloak, but Cersei spoke against him and Robert passed him over, perhaps rightly. Sir Richard is too fond of killing. Which would you have as Lord of Winterfell Snow, the Smiler or the Slayer?" So we learn a lot about these two very minor characters that'll probably get even more development in the next book, with the fight against the Boltons. While Stannis is aware Macy wants power and Horpe openly desiring a white cloak of the Kingsguard, he adds in the same chapter, "If it gives you any solace, Horpe and Macy are doomed to disappoint." A conversation with the boring and bitter Stannis is never an enjoyable thing for characters, but he probably is right about these two being doomed to disappoint. They are Queensmen after all, and they all seem to have suspicious goals, but it's the best Stannis currently has. Both serve efficiently as knights and advisors, Richard now being second in command. That doesn't mean more won't join Stannis' cause and push these schemers further down the totem pole. House Manderly, a very powerful family in the north, who still happen to be fiercely loyal to the Starks, have secretly allied with Davos, Stannis' Hand of the King. Stannis needs all the north support he can get in his winter battles, navigating the north, and the Northerners, looking to overthrow the Boltons, can't do it alone, with the Lannisters backing them. The Manderlys also happen to be one of the few Northerners who follow the tradition of knighthood. One knight we get to spend a bit of time with is Sir Marlon Manderly, a cousin to his lord. Marlon is currently serving as commander of the castle garrison, so he's definitely skilled. His relationship with Davos starts off rocky, but eventually House Manderly puts down the act and promises to align with Stannis if Davos can rescue Rickon Stark. Marlon seems like an older man with all his hair being white, but that never stopped characters like Barristan from making even the younger knights look like squires. Plus Marlon is described as a large strong man. The biggest question is whether or not Marlon started a family of his own. This proud character has a personal sigil outside the Manderlys, which doesn't always mean he's starting a branch family, but it's a sign of ambition. A knight of the Kingsguard can't hold any lands or marry. Marlon will be passed on if his lord cousin gave him leave to marry and have children. The story surrounding the Manderlys is only getting started, with a lot already going on within the family. So we'll get these questions answered about Marlon eventually, but for now, he makes the cut. Another contender for Lord Commander, with Roland honestly. That makes 6. And we haven't even talked about what happens to the Kingsguard currently serving Tommen, if Stannis does succeed in becoming king, big if. Though they are kind of a joke at this point, the whole Kingsguard order fell apart after the Targaryens' era ended. Tommen's protectors are a Lord Commander missing his sword hand, a fat guy, a sadist, a zombie, a fool locked away, and then there's 2 decently competent guards. Sir Loras Tyrell, who's supposedly on his deathbed after storming Dragonstone, and then Sir Balon Swan. Strange for Loras to die so early on, but if we're not being misled about his condition, we should look past him and on to Balon Swan. Balon would actually be a great fit for Stannis' Kingsguard. He's the perfect knight, with a bow being his weapon of choice, being one of the best shots in the realm. And he happens to hail from the Stormlands, just like the Baratheons. House Swan, like many from this region, are raised around a martial lifestyle and usually are built like warriors, Balon being no exception, if he survives his time in Dorne being Cersei's messenger. Once again, another contender for Lord Commander, but between these guys, Stannis would likely honor Roland with that title over Marlon or the newer Kingsguard Balon. I guess an honorable mention should be Stannis' current squire and Davos' oldest living son, Devon Seaworth. He's only about 13 and currently heir to his house, so this is not gonna happen, even with all his potential. And that's that. If you guys enjoy speculating as much as I do, I'm sure some might have different opinions in the comments, but that's my list of 7. Looking forward to hearing what y'all have to say, and hope the Stannis fanboys had fun with the idea of him sitting on the Iron Throne with a Kingsguard of his own. I'm done, guys. See y'all next week.